Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another edition of the Daily Nugget with Andrew Bone. I'm Tyler Waldrop here to talk about offensive tackle Terrence Ferguson. Bone, what's sort of the situation with him right now?
Yeah, Terrence Ferguson, one of top offensive linemen in the country out of Georgia. Definitely a major target for the Crimson Tide. It's been a pretty big target for them for at least a year now. He's been visiting Tuscaloosa. Several times. Brought his whole family to multiple games. They've been decked out in Alabama gear just about every single time they've been over to Tuscaloosa. So, there's definitely a lot of high interest in Alabama. He's got a great relationship with the coaching staff there. Coach Charles Kelly's his lead recruiter. Coach Kelly does a great job recruiting the state of Georgia. Did a great job in last year's class, getting some big names, including guys like William Anderson and Brian Branch and Seth McLaughlin. So really good job last year for Coach Kelly, and another big target for him this year in Terrence Ferguson. And this is a big year for offensive linemen for Alabama after only signing 3 offensive linemen in the 2020 recruiting class. This is a big year for them. They've got several guys that they're heavily targeting. Terrence Ferguson being one of the key guys.
Yeah, I was looking back at last year's class and, felt like Alabama had signed more than 3 offensive linemen, and that's low for a class.
Yeah, you don't really see just 3 offensive linemen in a recruiting class, but Alabama signed several in the previous class, so kind of knew it was going to be a down year. Just wasn't sure. Kind of had a feeling it was going to be 3 or 4 linemen. They end up only signing 3. So this year, trying to rebound and get some more guys on board. I think they're probably going to try to sign anywhere between 5 and 6 offensive linemen, and they're in it with a lot of different guys, not just Terrence Ferguson, but Brockmeyer twins out of Texas. You got Amarius Mims, J.C. Latham. Those are some of the big name guys that they're heavily involved in. That they're pretty much on the short list for right now. But Terrence Ferguson, in my opinion, is certainly one of the guys that has Alabama probably in his top 2. It's probably going to end up being an Alabama-Georgia battle. I mean, that's been kind of the feeling for a very long time, even though there's some other schools that are in it. Florida State, Texas A&M, LSU, all those schools are still in the mix with him. But in the end, I think he ends up choosing between Alabama and Georgia.
How has Alabama kind of fared in those? Because if you look at the map, he's in Peach County, pretty close to Athens. How does Alabama fare in those in-state battles between when it comes down to the Crimson Tide and the Bulldogs?
Well, it's tough. I mean, obviously Georgia recruits at a very high level, and they've been able to get several really good in-state commitments, and they're trying to keep all the top guys home. But Alabama, continuing to sell the fact that they can develop linemen. Obviously they've had a tremendous amount of success. Several first-round NFL draft picks, Outland Trophy winners, and I think that's kind of the thing that they're really selling them. Coach Kyle Flood's has developed a very good relationship with Terrence Ferguson throughout this process. Nick Saban has has really done a tremendous job reaching out to Terrence Ferguson and doing a lot of these Zoom calls. Terrence Ferguson last week in a Zoom interview with Chad Simmons, who covers the Southeast for Rivals, said that Terrence Ferguson said that he's already had about 4 Zoom calls with Coach Saban this spring, and that's that's a high number. Coach Saban doesn't really do a lot of those. Hasn't really done a lot of those in the past. Obviously, this spring has changed things up. He's been doing that a lot more, but he's probably doing multiple ones with the key targets such as Terrence Ferguson. And to hear him say that he's already done 4 Zoom calls with Coach Saban, I think that says a lot about how important he is to Alabama's recruiting class, how important the coaching staff feels like he is a vital piece to this class, and they're going to continue to press on for him. Wasn't really sure when he was going to make a decision. I think he was wanting to make a decision probably, in the summer, maybe even before the summer. But, once coronavirus hit, obviously everything kind of got put on hold, got pushed back. And he just recently said that, he still wants to take some visits. He wants to enjoy the process a little bit more. So, he'll see if he can resume those visits in June, maybe July. And if he's able to do that, maybe we will see a decision before the start of his senior season. But if not, he may have to take it into his senior season before making that decision.
And Bo, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's something we've seen kind of be the trend with a lot of these guys. You know, Ferguson's a top 40 prospect nationally. I think we've seen a lot of those guys push back their decision dates just with everything happening right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of schools that have had a lot of success in terms of getting commitments on board, but it seems like every single Alabama prospect, every single target is just keeps on waiting. And I don't know what it is about Alabama targets this year, but all those guys are just on hold right now. They're either pushing it back, they want to take some more visits. They might know where they want to go, but they still want to kind of enjoy the process a little bit. I mean, this is, something different than nobody has ever experienced before. But, we'll continue to see other programs get commitments on board, which is kind of cause Alabama fans to get a little nervous, a little bit worried. But I wouldn't be worried just yet. When we start seeing more of Alabama's targets, really start committing and going elsewhere, then you start to worry a little bit more. But I think the majority of Alabama's key targets on the offensive and defensive side of the ball all remain uncommitted. All want to continue to take visits, and we'll kind of see. Maybe we might see some of them decide, hey, you know what, we're not going to be able to go to all the schools that we want to go see. Let's just go ahead and make a commitment. We might see that happen sometime soon with some guys, but the majority of them are still kind of just waiting this out, waiting to see if they can resume visits, because everyone is kind of assuming right now that visits are going to be able to resume come June the 1st. And so everybody's just kind of waiting to see if that's really going to be the case. And if it is, then we should see some kids, make some visits during the month of June, and then potentially make some decisions shortly after.
Okay, yeah, great. A good reminder for patience from Andrew Bone. We know all of y'all are worried about the team's recruiting ranking. It's not good right now. Things will get better. We encourage y'all to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Consider becoming a member of our loyalty club. That's how you're going to keep up with us. Just subscribing to the YouTube channel. You'll keep up with all of our updates, all these daily nuggets from Andrew Bone. When these guys commit, we're going to have content. And probably once we get some commitments, we'll try to have some exclusive, some bonus stuff for the members of our loyalty club. So we definitely encourage y'all to go to our YouTube page, check that out, and get the information you need. And as always, please consider subscribing to become a premium member of BamaInsider.com. That's where we're going to have everything for the team and the recruiting situation as this summer plays out. Thanks for joining us today.